Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas! Welcome to the table read. It's Christmas time. I'm Kev Apollo, and with me is
One third of the table read. It is of course I, me, he, Menace.
and I'm Santa's favourite little elf, is Dan of the Dead, and we have a huge bulging sack of festive treats that we're gonna spill out all over this.
That's great, man. A huge sack of festive treats.
It's festive.
What more would you want?
Wow.
Oh.
I can't wait for my mum to hear the Christmas intro.
Deck the balls.
She's known you since you were like 4 years old, and now she's thinking about your sack of festive treats.
Yeah, a sack of presents.
That music was by August Burns Red. We didn't get the permission to get that track, but tis the season for giving, so they won't care.
Exactly.
So everything's fine. But
So,
yeah, carry on, Dan.
okay, well, just to explain, what we're going to do in this edition is go through either our favourite or traditionally most watched films of the Christmas season. We've each picked two movies, and we're going to be talking on them briefly and explaining why it is tradition or it is a perfect Christmas film.
Yeah, most of these films are Christmas films, but there are a couple that fall into the category of films that were on at Christmas time that nostalgia, helps us relate to those films. Like, we go to these films at Christmas. We got, like, for me personally, we got like Clerks 2, Sergeant Bilko,
Yeah.
Joe versus a Volcano. The Alien films are in there as well. What about you guys?
I remember the Star Wars films and the James Bond movies being on a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Also, Planes, Trains and Automobiles, which is a favourite of mine to watch around the Christmas period. I know it's got sort of tones of a Christmas movie, but I believe it's more of a Thanksgiving film.
Yeah, definitely what you just said, man. Like you, I remember watching films like Planes, Trains and Automobiles, Uncle Buck, Star Wars, as you said.
Yeah.
Um,
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic
Yeah,
Park,
it was
most
on- yeah, it
definitely.
was on-
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
absolutely. Those were, like you said, the unconventional films that you would call.
And a lot of the big ones from the 80s, like Back to the Future, and
That's a summer film for me.
do you think so?
Yeah, it's weird. Like how individuals, like they will classify the Christmas films.
Yeah, strange.
But it's interesting you said Star Wars, because a lot of people saw Star Wars for the first time at Christmas. Really did shape their lives. Was it for you, Christmas?
No, I don't think it was.
Because you're a big Star Wars.
I'm a
nut.
really big Star Wars fan. I remember watching on like a Saturday afternoon
Oh, okay.
with family. I don't think it was Christmas though.
Yeah, but,
But with these new ones, they're even being released at Christmas time.
yeah, that's
you know,
true. Yeah,
so-
yeah. So I kind of get that as well. Like with Force Awakens and Rogue One, they feel like Christmas films to me in a way.
yeah, sure.
But most of the films we will talk about, the ones we've chosen, most of them are Christmas films. So don't worry, we're not going to stray off topic too much. So who wants to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
So, first movie up for my choice is from 1990, and it is a classic. It is a Christmas movie, and it's Home Alone. Kevin!
That's me.
I think it's probably been a tradition in my house since it came out on home video that we would watch Home Alone over the Christmas period. Obviously, directed by Chris Columbus,
Yeah.
who went on to do some of the Harry Potter stuff and all that, and produced by John Hughes. Ferris Bueller and Planes, Trains, Automobiles, which we've discussed, and Breakfast Club, and all the big stuff in the 80s, basically. And starring Macaulay Culkin. I'm not going to bore everybody with the premise of it because if you haven't seen Home Alone, you're not a film fan. What are you doing?
And the clues in the title.
Yeah, he's home alone.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's for me, it's a perfect Christmas film.
I know what you mean. I like Home Alone. It's not one of my ones I go to, but I do have good fond memories of it. Just like of renting videos. I remember that was like one of the trailers of all the films those times. I just remember watching it, remember enjoying it. It's a good nostalgic film.
I think watching like Joe Pesci growing up, as
Yeah.
I was growing up, then seeing him all these in all these sort of gangster films and things like that. My first experience of Pesci was Home Alone.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. Well, Casino must have been a bit of a fright for you then.
Exactly, that's right. So I saw him initially as a comedian, well, not a comedian, but a comedic actor.
Yeah, because in Lethal Weapon as
Yeah,
well.
and I saw him in the
Yeah.
Lethal Weapon films, and and then seeing him in stuff like Goodfellas and Casino, as you said, and I even saw him in My Cousin Vinny when I was young
Of course,
as well.
yeah,
So I thought of him as a comedic actor, but then you do see him in these Scorsese movies, and it is
But
terrifying.
Yeah, saying that though, you say terrifying. He was still like full on method in that film because he as funny as the film is. Do you know the bit where they actually finally get Kevin and like they pin him up against the wall?
Yeah,
He goes,
yeah.
"I'm gonna bite off your fingers." He actually bit Macaulay Culkin's finger.
Really?
Wow.
Like it's not in the film. It cuts away just before he actually bit his finger, and to this
Wow.
day, Macaulay Culkin has a scar.
And I think it's
Bit a 9-year-old's finger.
But you say he goes method, but him and Daniel Stern in this movie, brilliant slapstick performances. I thought they were great. And Macaulay Culkin for being like a 9-year-old kid,
Yeah.
such a talent. I know it didn't work out for him in later years, but he was hot property at that point in his life. 1990. You mentioned Uncle Buck. He was in that as well. He went on to like My Girl and things like Page Master.
Party Monster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was big news back then. Until he slept with Michael Jackson or whatever he did. But
What do you reckon, Luke? Home Alone.
Home Alone. I like Dan says, I do think it's the perfect Christmas film. I think it's a perfect Christmas film.
I think it's because you can watch it with the family.
Yeah.
It's good, solid, clean fun. I know
Yeah.
that there's a lot of undertones of violence in it because it is a violent film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very controversial at
they're
the time
getting
as well.
smashed in the
Absolutely.
face. There's micro machines up people's anuses or whatever. People getting blowtorched. It is but done in a very.
I think
slapstick
it
way.
came with like a warning on VHS before the film
Really?
started. I went like, make sure your kids don't try this at home. Like, yeah. But
It's
I was gonna say, like Macaulay Culkin seems to have like a reputation of being just really annoying. But I didn't watch Home Alone for years. I watched it a couple of years ago for the first time in years. And you know what? It's quite a cute kid, isn't it? He's not annoying.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's got like a bad reputation, but he actually plays the part really well.
Yeah,
He's
and
really
he's-
likable.
He's smart.
Yeah.
He's a kid with brains.
I think like in Home Alone 2, he's a bit annoying in that. Like he breaks the fourth wall a bit.
Yeah, yeah,
he is a bit more Macaulay Culkin in that.
It's very much a capsule of his time. I remember when Talkboy came out for the first
Yeah.
time and
Yeah,
seeing
yeah.
it for the first time in Home Alone and wanting
Yeah.
that as a kid.
I think that was Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
That was Home Alone
It
2.
was Home Alone 2.
Okay.
But yeah, it was. He was a huge toy because
Yeah.
of the Home Alone films.
At the same time, Home Alone 2, even though it's not, it's the inferior film, but it feels a bit more Christmassy to me. Maybe it's the whole New York thing.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys been to New York?
I haven't. No,
I
I know
know,
you
I know.
have.
Yeah, go to New York.
Would love
the
to.
best place
I'd
ever.
love to. And yeah, of course, it will follow with a third, which was awful.
Yeah.
There's a fourth one, isn't there? And a
I
fifth one?
think so.
I
I
believe
think
so.
so. But even the soundtrack to it.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is Christmas, and even the scenes with I think it's John Candy.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Playing that Christmas music and stuff. I don't know. It's a feel good film.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
there's so many great one-liners in it as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let you stay in my room if you were growing on my ass. It's just so many great one-liners in those films.
Would you, you watched it as a kid.
I did, yeah. I watch it with my kids now.
That's what I was going to say. Like, you were probably, like, your kid's age when you watched it for the
I
first time.
think so. Yeah, I think so. And as I said, it's clean, good, solid fun. My kids love it, and they quote it, and I can watch it with the family, and it's just good fun.
Yeah. And Luke looks like Macaulay Culkin.
Well,
Yeah, now he looks like how he is now.
Wow. Speaking of Macaulay Culkin now, there was a video on YouTube, I guess it would have been about 2
Yeah,
years
yeah,
ago.
yeah,
yeah,
that was
yeah.
great.
Let's
That was
talk
great.
about that.
Okay, so if you guys haven't seen it, after you've listened to this, check it out. Type in Macaulay Culkin, Home Alone. I think it's like Revenge or something.
Yeah.
When I think the premise is he's picking up a friend from the airport, and he takes him to like a garage or a garage or
Something like that.
something
But
like that.
he's messed up in the
He's
head.
messed up,
He's
yeah.
tapped, man.
He's crazy in it, and he plays the Kevin McAllister character from the Home Alone films, and he's kind of like ties up this guy and tortures him. So whatever he did with those burglars in the films messed him up.
He just
It's
he
crazy.
kept it
It
getting
is
left.
crazy.
Kept it getting left home, you know, and people dished him in different countries and stuff like.
Yeah.
Messed
So
up.
yeah, he was fucked up.
I don't know who directed it, but there's still a story somewhere in Kevin McAllister, in Macaulay Culkin to tell, and I'd love to see a Home Alone movie today made. What
Well,
about
with
you
him,
guys?
as
With
an
him,
adult.
with him,
And how he is.
and how he is as an outcome.
He's in
of
like in
what
a
he went
straight
through.
jacket with like daddy issues.
Absolutely. What about you guys? Who would direct this if this would
Oh,
come
me.
out?
Tarantino.
Tarantino.
But yeah, Home Alone. Yeah, everyone should watch Home Alone at Christmas.
Yeah,
It's good to do. It makes you feel good. It's one of those very first Christmas films you watch. You know, it's one you watch early December. I
It's
say.
up there with the Muppets for me at Christmas.
Absolutely. And if you're gonna watch it, don't watch it Home Alone because it's fun for everybody, like Dan said.
Hey there, guys.
And so Home Alone, that's in the bag. Who wants to go next? Anyone got any others? Luke?
Yeah, I guess I'm go.
Guess
I
you
guess
go.
I'll
You got
go.
next. You got next.
My favorite, well, or at least should I say, one of my favorite Christmas films is Gremlins.
Yeah,
We all love it.
I do love it.
We all love it. Everybody
Guys.
loves it.
I'm not a massive fan of Gremlins.
No?
Wow.
I do
We're
love
gonna
it. It's not my
address that.
favorite Dante movie, but I love it. Anyway, we'll
I
go.
don't think I've ever told anyone that.
It's like coming out of the closet.
It
right
is.
now.
Yeah, this is a big moment right now.
I know,
need
but
time to process this.
Carry on. You know.
Yeah, I mean, released on the same day as Ghostbusters, directed by
Okay.
Joe Dante.
It's not explicitly a horror film, you know, contrary to popular
Yeah,
belief. A lot of people do believe it's a
Mm.
horror film, but I don't believe it's explicitly that, and I don't think it's a parody on a genre. But it is, in my opinion, one of my favorite Christmas films, and a film that I can watch any time of year because of how original it is. It's also a film that pays homage to one of the things that not just us love, but everybody listening loves. You know, films.
Yeah.
It pays
Yeah.
homage to a
Yeah,
lot
it
of classic
does, yeah,
films.
yeah. And don't forget, you know, the inspiration it had on all the, you know, all the things that followed really, and all the bootlegs and like, you know, Critters.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Ghoulies and you know those sort of little creature things, you know, or it just kind of paved the way for those sort of horror movies. You know, the way that Child's Play did for the doll thing.
Yeah. And it was huge as well. The merchandise was massive.
Well, yeah, you got to think. You know, Warner Brothers. I remember the Warner Brothers store had like Gremlins statues in it.
Wow.
In the, the big Warner Brothers store in London had like Gremlin statues everywhere. It was massive.
As a Christmas film, then, what is it about Gremlins that makes you feel Christmassy?
What it is about Gremlins that
Yeah.
makes me feel so Christmassy is
Well,
that
obviously it's set at Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah, it's set to Christmas first and foremost, and I think that seeing it as a kid, I was in awe of everything from its story to its effects, to its humor, and the way it changed how I engage with Christmas films. Like I say, it's not a quote-unquote Christmas film as such. Watching it at 32 years old, it hasn't changed at all feeling that way. It's easily the first film I remember seeing it challenge the cheesy Christmas premise and tone that before Gremlins I was used to seeing in Christmas films. So there is that.
What had you seen before Gremlins that you thought were cheesy and stuff?
Before that,
I mean, you see the but what I mean when we're talking about before Gremlins, I'm talking about films that weren't necessarily released before Gremlins, but were films I'd seen before Gremlins as a kid. So we're talking about films like I guess the Santa Claus.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you
yeah,
get
yeah.
and your Bromcom type Christmas films that would be
Yeah.
on showing on
Yeah,
Channel
your
5.
cliche
Yeah.
Your
Christmas movies.
right.
It was against the convention of
Absolutely,
Christmas films, yeah.
and I really respected that it went against that convention.
Hmm.
There's a scene you guys are gonna love in particular and will love, where Kate has a monologue about why she hates Christmas.
Yeah.
That was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
good point.
dark.
Yeah, especially for that kind of film as well. Yeah, you don't normally get those kind of things because it is like a kid's film in a way. You're not like it wasn't a kid's film, but
Mm.
it
I think
was
it was like
marketed at kids.
Over here it was like a 15, but I think
Was it?
they've reduced the rating on it now.
Violent.
Really?
It
I
is
think,
violent.
yeah, I think there's like you can get like 3 versions of it. Maybe it's like a PG, a 12, and a 15 version they've released over like the last 20 or 30 years or whatever it is.
I mean, I speak for all three of us when I say that as fictional as Gremlins is, it's a story that, much like the story of Santa or Father Christmas, could never happen in real life, obviously.
Well, it can. It happened in Barry.
But,
Yeah.
but even as adults, we wish these things would happen in reality. Everybody wished, especially at that age, Gremlins would happen. We would have kids.
Exactly. I just want to be able to eat after midnight, to be honest.
As a kid, especially.
I'm not, yeah, exactly. I want to stay up. I don't want to eat after midnight.
But with the same token, of course, there were things in that film you wish didn't happen.
Yeah, like being made.
Yeah. Oh!
No. On my Twitter is going to
Wow.
be like going insane.
Yeah.
I'm going to get death threats. No, everything you
From
said is true.
Dante.
Everything is you said is true. I can't argue with it whatsoever. Gremlins is a great film.
It is
Mhm.
Just for me,
Mm.
it does nothing. It's because in a way it reminds me of the Goonies in a way.
Harsh words.
Like in
Absolutely.
No, you're not going to say you don't like the Goonies.
No. I watched like Gremlins once as like a 9-year-old. Watched it. It was alright. I watched the Goonies around about the same time. I was like, it's alright. Let me finish.
Kevin Williams, ladies.
Let me
and
finish. Then years later, I watched the Goonies during like a drive-through. Didn't remember much of it, and absolutely loved it. I was
Okay.
like, oh, cool. So I
Okay.
watched the Gremlins again this week, hoping for the same thing to happen. And I was like, this is a good film, but there's nothing there. It just doesn't tap into me.
Completely disagree. I bet you don't like Forrest Gump either.
Love Forrest Gump. Love Forrest
No,
Gump.
I respect that, of course.
No, it's interesting. Do you think it has to do with the time of the seeing that film?
Well, that's the thing. I thought it might be that, but you know what? I love the Goonies straight away. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just broken inside. Maybe
And
I'm
both
a
starring
heartless person.
Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
I'm going to get
Yeah,
into that
yeah.
in a bit. Absolutely, man. Besides, featuring a menacing head gremlin Stripe. You remember Stripe?
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, with a mohawk. Thing, yeah.
Absolutely. For me, it also has an equally sinister, this money-hungry Miss Deagle, who again is very relatable to us as kids and as adults, in that she represents this almost capitalistic attitude and energy you don't want to see at Christmas. So again, it kind of,
Yeah, against the
it's
convention.
an anti-Christmas film in
Yeah.
very ways for that reason. And I think people overlook her character for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's just greedy, capitalistic. And then, of course, you see the scene where the gremlins are tampering with the chairlift, and she goes out the window.
Yeah.
Seeing that
yeah.
as a kid, another game changer.
Yeah. But who doesn't want to play with a little furry thing and get it wet?
You want to see my gizmo?
Speaking of,
I got a Mogwai down here.
whoa, very, very Weinstein.
Kevin's
That's
wrapped up and
okay.
he hates it.
I know, right? I know. I mean, for me, going back to the reason I love Gremlins personally, the reason is it doesn't take itself seriously. It's very over the top and it embraces that.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just got to
'Cause in a way-
cinema scene.
In a way, I don't mean to interrupt, but it is a film in two halves. Like the first half is kind of does take it seriously in a way, because it's a bit of
Yeah.
like a horror film, but then the second half, it's very self-aware.
It's very tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And you said about breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
It kind of does.
Yeah, or definitely does in the sequel anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about it being, it starring, should I say, Corey Feldman. It was the first film I'd actually saw starring Corey Feldman, and actually the first film I saw starring Dick Miller,
Yeah.
who I later, would love. I'd love him,
Yeah.
big fan now.
Big fan
But
of
I
Dick,
was
yeah.
a big fan of the Dick Miller.
Yeah.
But there's just something ironic about watching Feldman as the kid that makes the Gremlins multiply for the first time back in '84, a year before all three of us were born, and still,
Yeah.
and him still making Gremlins multiply, in 2017 with his mission to expose these pedophiles.
Oh,
You See know.
what he did there?
controversial.
See what he did there?
I like that.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
Well, what do you think of the sequel though?
I love the sequel.
A lot of
Absolutely
people
love
say
the
like,
sequel.
I saw the sequel as a kid, and I didn't get it at all. Like a mutual friend of ours absolutely loves it because he's saying it's so self-aware. There's so many jokes in there, which
Absolutely.
he says if I watch it now, I would absolutely love it. Haven't got around to it, but
I
what-
haven't
what
seen
do you-
the sequel for a long time.
what do you
I
think when you saw it though? Were you a kid?
I thought it was cheesy.
Gee, no way.
Yeah.
Really?
Honestly, I thought it
I'm
was cheesy.
surprised. I'm
But
surprised.
maybe I was too young to appreciate some of the jokes
Maybe
that you're
so.
talking about.
Yeah.
I remember Christopher Lee being in it, and he
Yeah.
was great. I was
I
a big
was
fan of Christopher
right.
Lee.
Yeah.
But the whole Gizmo as Rambo. I also remember
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I also remember being
Yeah.
a kid and like there being so many like kids merchandise for the film.
Yeah.
Like little books. And you remember like the Ladybug books and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. But yeah, I remember like a lot of that being around at the time. So I think it probably aimed at a younger audience than the first
Well,
one.
that's the thing. Apparently not,
Really?
because it is so self-aware. Like it's
Yeah.
such a parody of itself. That it kind of takes the idea, like you say, like being against the convention. It takes that even further.
Yeah.
Apparently. So
I couldn't agree anymore. Everything you just said, I co-sign, and I think that, like I said, more than anything, it does pay homage the first one to these films, our love of films, and I think the second one extends and magnifies
Maybe
that.
I just gotta watch
Yeah,
it now as an
same, I think
adult,
we should.
guess.
think we
Yeah,
should.
you definitely should, and it's just interesting that you mentioned the merchandising, because of course
Yeah.
we mentioned Talk Boy earlier from Home Alone.
Yeah. yeah.
So it's interesting to know.
you
That,
know, over here, I don't know whether it's the same around the world. We had like Boglins. Do you remember?
Yeah,
those
I
things?
love
you love them.
I
You
love
love them.
Boglins. Yeah, but they were off the back of stuff like Gremlins. I think,
Absolutely, and
everybody
like you
wanted this
say,
little creature sort of.
Yeah.
It was great.
absolutely. Take me back. Take me back.
Yeah. Back to the world of Pogs. Back to the world of Monster in My Pocket. Yeah. Micro
Mighty
Machines.
Max.
Yeah. Mighty Max.
Taking us forward.
Yeah.
What about your film, Kev?
Okay.
We've talked a lot.
Well, let's spin off then. So we talk about two Christmas films. This one
Yeah.
isn't a Christmas film.
Get off the feature.
Yeah, yeah. Shut the door.
Leave it alone. It's not a Christmas film,
Okay.
but I remember it was Christmas Eve. This film was on TV. I went over my grandpa's house, as we
Yeah.
used to every Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And my mum recorded this film that was on BBC One. And I come back and I watched it on Boxing Day. And even the memory of the opening shot of the Castle of Grayskull,
Oh.
it was like, it's not a Christmas film, but that shot is Christmas for me. Masters of the Universe.
I have the power.
It's a film despised by a lot of people,
I
but
love it.
fuck 'em. It's amazing.
Do you know? I think I probably may have recorded that same one because
Possibly.
I
possibly.
remember. This may not be the case with you, but I recorded it like maybe like 5 minutes earlier, and like the end
Oh,
of Blue Peter.
No
was
way.
on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He was out early about 6 o'clock, something like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, he was even earlier than that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Amazing. Amazing. That's what it's about. Shit
So
like that.
for me, it is a Christmas movie because I remember I watched it so many times as a kid around the Christmas period. I think it was probably the only time I saw it on TV was around the Christmas period.
Yeah.
And we were He-Man fans. you
Yeah.
know. If they could make a Thundercats movie now, I'd be be amazing because we were He-Man and Thundercats kids. You know? I mean, it's that childish, the 80s, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why a lot of people don't like it. Because kind of the same reason why a lot of people don't like the Transformer films is they say it's too detached from what the actual source material is, and it is. Because let's be honest, back in the 80s, there's no way they could have shot this film
No.
on Eternia, whatever it's called.
Eternia,
Yeah, there's no way they could. They didn't have the money.
Yeah.
You know,
we-
and for Canon Films.
Right.
as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're
So-
talking about Canon Films. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the studio to put this film together.
Yeah, but was a big property like Masters of the Universe? It was a huge hit. And for Canon to be the ones to make the film, I think that's incredible in itself.
Absolutely, man.
It could have gone to a huge studio.
Yeah, but I think they may have done the studio things they don't like. They don't like the filmmakers don't like, because even though I love Dolph Lundgren in it,
Yeah.
the director didn't. He hated it. He hated him.
Really?
Yeah, and it's quite interesting. If you go on YouTube, you can see like interviews with him, and he's not favourable at all to him. But he was born to play He-Man. He was
Yeah.
perfect. I
He's the right
don't.
shape. He is He-Man.
I can't remember who he said he wanted, but he was like a big A-list actor at the time that he wanted, but he couldn't get. And then the studio got involved and said, "No, you got to get this guy. It's the guy from Rocky. You got to get him."
Yeah. So he had done Rocky 4 previous to this.
I think that was the only film he did.
Okay.
And I
Did
think
he
there's
do,
quite.
like Red Son.
No, that's Schwarzenegger.
He did Red Scorpion.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently there was like dialect problems because his English wasn't apparently that good at the time.
Yeah.
But even to this day,
It's the cult classic.
yeah, there's a lot of snobbery
It's
towards it as well.
Yeah.
This is a film that brought Courtney Cox.
Yeah.
Onto
Yeah.
screen as well. I just think it's kind of like it's like a low budget Star Wars for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's got the same feel, practical
Yeah.
effects.
I mean, if we're talking about effects, this dropped, what, 3 years after Gremlins? It's not bad for its time.
Well, it's not. Look, if you look at the production design,
Yeah.
it is awesome, especially in in Castle Grayskull.
Yeah,
But like the actual sets, they're fantastic.
yeah.
That was Oscar-worthy production design right there. And again, like talk about Oscar-worthy stuff. You know, Frank Langella.
Yeah.
You know, didn't win an Oscar for this, but you know, what an actor and what a performance in this.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, for me, it doesn't really go hand in hand. You don't think Skeletor? Oh, who should we cast? Yeah, Langella.
Yeah, why did he accept that role?
I have no
you
idea,
know?
but it just works.
Yeah, and you know, cool makeup as well. He's frightening, you know, for kids.
Yeah,
He's perfect, you know.
he's great in this.
Um,
What do you think about Gwildor?
I work with a guy who looks just like him. He's strange. He's a very
Gwildor.
strange man. Gwildor. Yeah, this is one of the criticisms of the film, I believe. Like they couldn't have Orko.
They couldn't have Orko, no, because of special effects or.
Probably that.
Yeah.
I love Gwildor. You know, as a kid, you know, you don't know any different. You know, he's part of the film for me. It's great. But everything about the film is just like I understand why people don't like it,
Yeah,
but a lot of the time I think it's one of those films people attack just for the sake of it.
yeah. I just remember the villains being really frightening.
Yeah.
Genuinely frightening. You know,
Beastman.
Beastman. Beastman was awesome. He was huge and he was scary. I think I read somewhere that the prosthetics for his mouth, the teeth, and he actually couldn't close his mouth. Because
Really?
yeah, the length of the teeth.
There must have been drool everywhere.
Yeah.
Sounds like Louis C.K.
Just let it go, man. I'm
think
stilling morning.
The Beastman is actually his nickname these days.
Guys.
And yeast.
You know,
If
Evil
that shit
Lyn
is
as well.
this-
Evil Lyn was
Evil
frightening.
Lyn. My mum's called Lynn. I used to call her Evil Lyn when she told me off.
That's incredible. And what about the toys? We were talking about merchandising
Yeah.
just earlier.
I had-
we all had the toys.
Toys
I
were
had one.
everywhere.
What was the
Absolutely.
one with like the flames come out of his mouth?
Ah.
But I had one of them.
Yeah.
And that was so cool. My dad actually stopped me having
Battle
it.
Cat.
No, not Battle Cat. I had a Battle Cat though,
Me
but
too.
from the film, it's like one of them. It's the first villain that Skeletor kills. He like just electrifies him. He just like disintegrates.
Oh yeah.
But I had a toy of that. I had like flames would come out of his mouth, but my dad
Yeah.
took it off me because he thought I'd burn the house down because I had problems. But yeah, Masters of the Universe. That's pretty much it, really. It's just a great film.
It is
Yeah,
great.
to me, it's Christmas. It's one of those films.
Yeah, and again, it just dismantles the perception of what a Christmas film is and should be.
Yeah,
you
so-
know.
I know we're only halfway through the feature, you know, but if there's any films like that, tweet us, you know, or comment on this video. You know, like, are there any films that for you they're Christmas films, even though they not technically are?
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
who wants to go next?
Okay, so I'm going to move on to a Christmas film of recent years. So, not quite a classic right now, but I think could be.
Interesting choice then.
Yeah, it is an interesting choice. This is, well, it was sort of marketed as a horror movie. It's 2015's Krampus. Now,
Interesting.
if you've seen it, it kind of starts out as it could be a family holiday comedy, which slowly sort of takes a turn into being a horror movie. But that you know, a lot of in jokes and humor in there as well. I'm not going to spoil anything if you haven't seen it, but what I will say is, you know, it's directed by Michael Dougherty, who also directed and wrote Trick or Treat, which is a great seasonal Halloween movie, and it's one of my favourites, one of my traditional Halloween films that I put on every year, and this is probably going to be the same with Krampus for the Christmas period. Now, Michael Dougherty, you might know him, he also wrote a lot of stuff with Bryan Singer for the X-Men movies, and he's also he's directing the new Godzilla movie as well, which is starring Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things,
Nice.
which, you know, those two together at the moment, I'm in, you know, I'm in. But Kev hadn't seen this movie until this week, so I said, you know, Kev, you want to watch this before the feature. So I'm going to go over to Kev and ask what you thought of it.
Me? Oh,
Yes, yeah.
thanks, man. Well, I never heard of this film. I just totally missed it. It passed me by.
Yeah.
So when you said this is like is a Christmas horror film, I thought it's one of the kind of like horror films that you guys like. I'm not really into horror films myself.
Yeah.
But you like some crazy things.
Yeah.
So I said to my wife,
You know, it wasn't going to be Silent Night, Deadly Night for you.
I thought it was gonna be something dodge, you know, like Jack Frost or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
But I said to my wife, I'm gonna watch this Christmas film. I'm gonna watch it on my own in this room. You're not gonna like it, so I don't want to waste your evening.
Okay.
But watching it, like first 2 scenes in, I'm like, oh, I've made a mistake here. This is, you know, a good, solid film we got it straight away. It plays on all the cliches.
Yeah.
It's got quite a few Christmas Vacation like characters and jokes in it. That's how that's how it felt to me.
Set
to
up
start
like
with.
National Lampoon sort of
Yeah.
characters. Yeah.
Yeah, very
You know, especially
much.
with the guy from the Anchorman movies.
Yeah.
what's
He
his
was
name?
great in
You
it.
Yeah,
had like the
Steve
Randy
Martin.
Quaid,
Kushner, yeah.
the Randy Quaid kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
And just, you know, we say like films have like a Christmas feel to it. This got it right. It nailed that Christmas film, like the nice lighting in the room, like the cookies and the food,
Yeah.
stuff like
It
that.
ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, but you know something's up with it though. Yes, I knew nothing about this film. You know something's up. You know something's gonna change. You know, Adam Scott's in it.
Adam
Everyone
Scott
loves
is
Adam
great.
Scott.
I love Adam Scott.
He's
Adam
not the
Scott.
kind of actor who
Oh.
was. He's not the kind of actor who would just turn up and be like a random generic film. So something's gonna,
Yeah.
happen, and then it does. And shit, man,
Yeah.
fucking violent.
It is violent.
It is
yeah.
fucking
violent.
wrong in parts. It's unpredictable. It reminds me of The Blob in a way.
Yeah.
The Darabont remake.
Oh yeah, yeah. yeah.
Because you have no idea who's gonna die. There's you know, like
Yeah.
people who you expect to survive, they don't, and it's so unpredictable.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
clever.
And in a way, it kind of reminds me of a bit like your movie, Gremlins,
Yeah.
because of the chaos.
Mm.
You know, with the gingerbread man and the little.
That's a reference to Gremlins, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's actually a couple of
Think so,
references of
think
if I
so.
remember
But
correct.
it's got that same kind of tone for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's interesting how you've picked a film. Like the idea of this feature was to go, like, what films we have from the past, what's nostalgic for us. But this is a film you know will be nostalgic for you when you're 60 years old. This is a
Yeah,
film
I
you go
think
back
so.
to then.
Yeah, and I think, essentially, it is a horror movie, but it's so much fun. You can have
Yeah.
a lot of fun with it. It's not. You don't. Come out of it thinking, oh, I feel like shit now.
Yeah.
I just watched this horror movie. It is violent,
Very violent.
but it's
Very disturbing in a way.
yeah, but it's fun. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but that ending, it's like, okay.
You know what? I think they fell short a little bit with the ending.
Yeah.
That's my only criticism. I won't say what it is, but I think they played a little bit safe. I think they should have gone the full whack. You know, I think they should have
Oh,
carried
right,
on.
okay,
I think
yeah.
they should have carried on. 'Cause then you'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
well, Christmas is ruined. You know?
Yeah.
You're like the
And-
end of the mist, you know.
And let's not get anything twisted.
No.
Their Christmas is ruined.
Yeah.
It is fucked.
But
You know,
did you guys know?
Santa ain't coming this year, kids.
But do you know what Krampus is?
yeah, it's apparently it's like anti-Christmas guy.
Yeah, it's an,
France.
it's
It's
an
like-
Austrian thing.
Is it Austrian or
It's a tradition
Norwegian
in
or-
I think it's Austria. I think it's a
Yeah.
tradition where people like dress up as Krampus, like creepy
Yeah.
costumes, going around scaring kids
That's
in the
right.
street. What?
From
You
what
don't do that!
Yeah, that's true. That's
That's
true.
what messes people up. That's what makes people become killers in the future.
Yeah.
From what I understand, it was a very hard film to market, especially following, the success years before with films like the success and controversies, should I say, with films like Black Christmas and
Oh yeah, because they were, the remakes.
Silent Night, Deadly Night,
Yeah,
right?
all these
yeah.
remakes, and obviously, like you said, Silent Night, Deadly Night, being a video nasty.
Absolutely.
It got banned. There was so many complaints about that film, and also 2 years ago, even horror wasn't the genre it is this
In
year.
26 yeah.
I think
yeah.
because of
yeah.
films like It, things like films like Get Out. I think this year is a really great year for horror movies. And I think if Krampus was released this Christmas, I think it would be huge.
Absolutely.
But it's all timing.
Yeah.
I think it's a hard film to market without giving too much away as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, that is hopefully a future classic. So good pick on that.
Oh, thanks. I want to throw something different in the mix, and it's kind of easy to pick all these nostalgic movies that I saw as a kid, and it gives you the sort of warm, fuzzy feeling.
Yeah.
But sometimes, Christmas is about arguments around the dinner table, and what the fuck is going on here? So yeah, Krampus.
Yeah. My nan,
Nice.
a quicker Christmas anecdote for you. My nan came over my house one Christmas. She's old, and you know what? We just ended up having a conversation about like politics and history,
Right.
and my parents didn't actually know who Malcolm X was,
Okay.
and yeah, that was my reaction. I
What,
was-
your parents?
my parents.
Oh, okay.
So I was pretty angry by that, and my nan turns around and goes, "Oh, I know who Malcolm X is." I'm like, "Thanks, Nan."
Yeah.
She goes, "Yeah, he works in company's house." I was like,
Well, it's better than saying Malcolm Xmas.
Oh, you're killing us!
Oh.
You're killing us here! Ho, ho, ho! So anyway, that was my pick, Krampus. Fuck.
It's the drink.
So anyway, yeah, that was my pick, Krampus.
It's a good
So
pick.
yeah, cheers, man. So on to you.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
sure,
Yeah,
take
you.
that. So yeah, my next and final pick is Scrooged.
I love Scrooge. Scrooge is great.
Scrooge is great.
Scrooge, yeah. I
It's-
think we all agree Scrooge is a great movie.
Yeah, it's a safe pick, but it's one I often go to.
I wouldn't say it's a safe pick, actually.
No?
It
no,
is.
no.
It is a movie that it is a Christmas movie. It's Christmas all the way through it. But
Yeah.
I think it's an underrated movie,
Mm.
and I also think it's not your feel good happy
No.
movie.
No.
You've got the Christmas Carol movies. Everybody knows the story of that. This is done in such a different way that it's I'll just let you talk about it. But yeah,
Yeah, no, I
I've nothing
totally
more to
agree.
say on it, yeah.
Again, we're talking about a film that takes Christmas films and bends the rules, changes the rules. I don't know what to say about Scrooge. It hasn't already been said before, but what I will say is that next to Gremlins, although a completely different Gremlin and
Ooh.
Beast, Scrooge is another go-to Christmas film for myself, and for so many reasons too. Perhaps the biggest being it stars Murray, of course.
Yeah,
Bill
the
Murray.
great Bill Murray.
At his most classic, in his most uncompromised jerk-off mode.
Yeah.
He plays.
Yeah.
Let's not
Yeah,
forget.
he's
he
a
plays
prick.
a prick.
Yeah,
right.
he's a
Unflinchingly too. It came out 4 years after Gremlins and landed between Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. It marked a return for Bill Murray to the mainstream, which is interesting.
Yeah, and
to note.
Ghostbusters 2 is a Christmas movie as well for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely,
so. I think so.
absolutely.
Okay for you.
Yeah, for me. But yeah, well, back to Scrooge. Yeah, I think it's one of my favourite performances by Bill Murray, actually.
Yeah. Because as you said, is you wind him up and he's gone. You can't stop him. But one thing it does have, does get down is that Christmas feel. Because I only watched it myself for the first time, I think about 2 years ago.
So
Oh,
you
so
were
kinda
you were
late.
Quite late.
Yeah.
And you know what? I first watched it and I liked it, but I didn't love it. Like the reputation, it had, it didn't stand to that reputation for me.
Right.
Yeah.
But something stayed with me with that Christmas kind of feel. So last year, my wife hadn't seen it. She wanted to watch it. And I was thinking, oh yeah, Scrooge, that's got that Christmas feel. Yeah,
Sure.
let's watch it. And I watched it a second time and I liked it a lot more.
Yeah.
So no, I think it's going to be one of those films I'll watch pretty much most years as well.
So this is going to be, even though you watched it 2 years ago, so coming to it late, this is going to be now a tradition and a Christmas classic for yourself.
Yeah, just like Krampus.
Well, I'm really glad he likes this, even though he doesn't like Gremlins.
Guys, I'm sorry. Will,
Don't
I'm
I-
sorry. Joe Dante, I'm sorry, man. You're a legend, but the film was fine. Nothing wrong with the film. You still like it.
But on that note, actually, I think if I was to pick what Christmas movie to choose, I'd go Scrooged over Gremlins.
Yeah.
I think I'm not saying Scrooge is a better movie. I'm just saying that over the Christmas period, if I had to watch one of those movies, I think Scrooge would be the one for me.
I mean, what's interesting is that a lot of these films we're talking about today, tonight, whatever time of the world, whatever place and part of the world you're in, whatever time it is.
Wow.
The films we're talking about have a common theme, which is that a lot of these are 80s staples. This film, of course, is directed by...
It's directed by Richard Donner, who actually he does another film in his career that to me is more of a Christmas film. It's more when I would personally go to more at Christmas time, which is Lethal Weapon.
I might say that was a Christmas, one of my go-tos at Christmas.
It is a Christmas film.
I
Christmas.
might-
There's Christmas
yeah.
trees in it.
Yeah,
Starts off, jingle bell,
yeah,
jingle
but you
bell,
could,
jingle
you could
bell.
say the
That's
same
true.
about
Die
Die
Hard.
Hard. You
Yeah.
know, yeah,
Yeah.
Die.
That's a Christmas
Yes,
film.
that is a Christmas.
I mean, this has been a debate, you know. On
Well,
what
whether it is
film
or it isn't.
No,
Yeah,
they are
Die-
Christmas
yeah.
films. They are. If
Die
they're
Hard
a
is a
Christmas film
Christmas
to you,
movie.
they're a
Yeah.
Christmas film to you. Simple as that.
Absolutely.
But, you know, just the same way as Masters of the Universe is a Christmas movie to you.
Yeah.
And to me also, I think it goes by preference and what you've sort of grown up with as well, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Your memories and nostalgia are attached to those films. I would even go as far to say Lord of the Rings was a Christmas film to me now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I watched, you know, The Lady Boys of Bangkok one Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And, you know, every year now, it's like tradition, so that's a Christmas movie.
Is that the one where he's got tinsel around his tree?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Okay. The stump.
The stump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that.
Silence. but Scrooged, yeah, I think as you said before, I think everyone in the world can agree this is a go-to film. You know,
It is, yeah.
It's universally loved. It's just gets everything right. It's self-aware. It's Bill Murray just going berserk. You can't direct Bill Murray. Just go action, and he knows what he's doing. Just go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scrooged.
Okay,
Great
so
film.
on to your last pick then, Kev.
Right, okay, I'm gonna apologise in advance for this film. Okay, I know I don't like Gremlins, so I got some hate already. I know. I nearly select off the Goonies, which I come back and said I liked it. I said Scrooge, I didn't like it the first time, but again I come back myself. I liked it.
Call yourself a movie lover.
This next film is one of my favourite Christmas films. It's one film I do try to go to every year if I can. Now, this film. I don't even want to say what it is because I'm just going to get so much hate for it. Charlize Theron's in it, and she described it as probably the worst film she's ever been in. Ben Affleck's in it, and he makes fun of it in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Gary Sinise was in it, and he probably did that film just to pay for his Botox injections. I'm talking about a film over here that went by the name of Deception, but more commonly known as Reindeer Games.
Okay.
And then Twitter goes in a frenzy, like, what is this Kev Apollo doing
Yeah, what
on
the fuck
about?
is he up
Okay,
to?
okay, guys,
This
I
is
get it, I
crazy.
get it.
Kev
Right.
killed Christmas.
I know it's not a good film. I know there's no logic in the film. The storyline is so based on chance that no one would ever go through with its ridiculous story. But it gets one thing right. It feels the fuck like Christmas.
It does
gets
feel
that
like
one
Christmas.
thing right.
I'm not going to, sit here and lie and say I'm a huge fan of the movie because it's not. But it does feel like Christmas, and it's not as awful as
It's
some
not that
people-
bad. It's still a
Yeah,
watchable
yeah.
film. I mean, like, you're watching all the scenes and you're thinking, if they were directed by someone else, and this is nothing against John Frankenheimer, who was a great director, but just nothing is executed. I hate when people criticize films, review films, and say they would execute, because they haven't got a clue what to talk about sometimes.
Yeah.
But this is a good time to use that word. Just something's executed wrong in these scenes. They should be classic tense scenes, but it just doesn't work. Again, the story's ridiculous. But I think it's something about the fact, like, when you're off during Christmas time, everyone tends to be off work.
Sure.
And you're not in school, you're not in college, you're off work, and afternoons, like Tuesday afternoons, they become your time. And in this film, no one's working. I think it's something about that.
Yeah.
Which-
puts you in a space of
Yeah.
of
You can relate
joy.
to it a bit.
Right.
It just get like,
Yeah, nobody's got anything going on.
yeah, like even like when you do go to places of work, like casinos and stuff, like there's not many people there, because everyone's
Yeah.
out. During the heist at the end, there's no one around.
I like the heist in it though.
Yeah, the heist is actually not
Heist
too
is-
bad.
Heist is cool.
Well, I will say that of all the films we've been talking about today, or tonight, or whatever part of the planet you're on, I've not seen this one. Never seen Reindeer
I know, but the
Games.
thing is, why would you? Because it's not a classic film,
Yeah, maybe it's not.
There's
one
no
of the, yeah.
reason. There's no reason to watch this
I-
film.
I stumbled across it. It was on late night, on TV, and I just stumbled across it by accident, and I remember enjoying it at the time, but I thought, many years down the line, I'll rewatch that. I'll enjoy it. I enjoyed that the first time round, and I was disappointed.
What is the premise?
You c-
Basically, Charlize Theron.
Yeah, without giving too much away.
Yeah, she's kind of
Cause-
like writing to Affleck in prison. She's
No,
kind of like
no. Not quite. Not quite.
No?
Affleck's in prison and he shares a cell with someone, and his cellmate is writing to Charlize Theron's character.
That's right. Yeah.
And so early on in the film, his cellmate gets killed,
Yeah, he's dead.
but then they both would get released on the same day. So when they're walking out, Ben Affleck sees Charlize Theron and
Kind of
she-
assumes the position of
Yeah,
this dead
but-
guy.
yeah.
okay.
So he's been a bit of a jerk. Pretends he's him, and he gets screwed a few times. He's not complaining. It's Charlize Theron. But then Charlize Theron's brother comes along, and like pretty much kidnaps him in a way because he believes he's this other person who has this information about a casino which they want to rob. And so, if he then comes clean and says, "Oh, this guy is dead. I've just been screwing his sister," then he's going to get killed.
Yeah.
So he has to go along with the fact that he's pretending to be this person.
So he's got to sort of hold up this whole facade of being this dead guy.
But
Basically.
there's more twists and turns on it, and it's just. I mean, technically it works out, but if you look at it, you think that there's no way this would ever happen.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place.
It's
though.
there's too much at stake for people to do this.
Well,
It's bonkers.
and
So-
all of which takes place on Christmas.
yeah,
Okay.
the heist
Yeah,
is
he's
on
in
Christmas
a
Eve,
Santa suit, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it just the things with the snow, just like the lighting, the tone.
Yeah.
It just gets the
So-
Christmas feel right.
I've got to ask then.
Yes.
What is about this movie? I know you said it feels like
Hmm.
Christmas, but why is this your pick?
It just is. I don't know why it is. It's just a film I gotta go to every year. It's not.
Oh, so is it when you watch every Christmas?
I
now?
try to, yeah. I try. It just,
Wow.
and it's got to be close to Christmas as well. Because
I love that.
it's set on New Year's Eve. It feels like New Year's Eve. It just, there's one thing it gets right. But sorry, world. I know Gremlins is a better film. I just prefer this. Okay.
Which leads us to the question: is it Christmas without bad films?
Do you know what? There's so much
good
shit.
question.
I mean absolute shit and drivel that I will sit and watch over Christmas just because it is Christmas and I expect a bit of cheese.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people say
It's a given.
Santa Claus the movie is one of the greatest Christmas films of all time.
Don't think it is. I think it's cheesy as fuck.
But
But I
personally-
still watch it.
Personally, I think the first hour is golden. It's magic. That's you
Yeah.
think if there's a Santa Claus, this is
Yeah,
what
that's
it's
how
like.
I want him to be.
Yeah,
yeah.
but it's just when he goes to the city, it's a film in two halves. Like
Yeah, with
really
John
is.
Lithgow
Yeah,
and Dudley
it's-
Moore.
It's like, what's going on?
Haha, Beezy!
Yeah, it's like, what's
You
going on?
mentioned John Lithgow. I just saw a film, and it makes one of my favorite films.
You see
Christmas
Daddy's
films.
Home too?
Daddy's Home 2. It's an honourable mention for me if we're talking about Christmas films. It takes place at Christmas.
Yeah.
Great film. Loved it. Laughed my ass off through the whole thing.
Yeah,
John
'cause of
Lithgow's
course John
incredible.
Lithgow is the father of...
Of
Will Ferrell, yeah.
It's brilliant. Very, very much.
Love John
Fun. But if we're talking about honourable mentions, what else?
Yeah, is anything
you
you want
like?
to throw in the ring?
Well, again, I did briefly say before, which was Lethal Weapon. I'm absolutely massive fan of that
Yeah.
series. But yeah, before like Clerks 2, something about that. A film that's set in the summer, but I just happened to watch it around about Christmas time.
Nice.
Absolutely love it. It's a masterpiece of a film. We did the Kevin Smith feature in detail before, so we can't repeat ourselves too much.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
I mean, the Elf is
Elf is good.
Elf is
Yeah.
a great one.
Another
yeah.
one up there with like Home Alone that you can watch with the whole family and just have fun.
Yeah. I feel like I gotta just clarify what I said. I did say the Elf. It's not the Elf, of course.
I
It's
tell you
Elf.
one film that I was looking around my room here, but it's just reminded me of something. One film that I do usually watch at Christmas, and because again with Masters of the Universe, it was on and I recorded it, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the
Oh.
movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
You know, I remember that being on a lot at Christmas time
Mm,
and recording on VHS and stuff like that.
definitely.
So that's one I'm going to throw into the ring is Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I'm looking around your films. I can't see any myself. But the ones you have mentioned, like Star Wars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you just like, oh, of course.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw Bad Santa in the mix.
Yeah. Yeah, it's alright. I think it's a bit overrated myself.
Bad Santa, yeah.
I mean, I think there was something there, but it didn't quite work. But it's one of those films you can't quite put your finger on it, what it is.
And to be honest, for the last few years, it's been fucking frozen, man.
Well, in your house.
In my house, it has.
I've
yeah.
never seen this film. I'm not going to.
Of course, yeah.
I
but,
never will see it because I don't think I'll ever have kids because I have no confidence in my sperm.
Merry Christmas, kids.
And on that note, when
Yeah.
you talk about my
Jingle your
sperm,
balls.
Yeah, but of course, Nightmare Before Christmas and, The Grinch and, Muppets Christmas Carol, of course. That's a big film at this time.
Absolutely. I might even throw in
Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way is actually a favourite of my children at the moment. I've talked about my kids so much tonight, but it's Christmas, so I guess it's all for the kids. But Jingle All the Way at the moment has been like on my TV about 3 times already this past month. I actually think it's quite a funny film. I think people underestimate Schwarzenegger as a comedic actor. I think he's great. His timing is perfect.
I think you're going to get more hate for me for reindeer games. Than
I don't know. Put the cookie down now.
But on that note, I think we're done with Christmas films.
Yeah. As Kev said previously, if you have any suggestions for Christmas films that we haven't mentioned, put it in the comments of this video.
Yeah.
And this stuff that you think may not be Christmas movies, but are movies that we should watch at this time of year. So let us know anyway, guys.
Yeah, because it's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. It's the table read. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. It's the table read. It's Christmas.